In this video, I'm going to talk about the 6 most important parts of hitting in specific order if you want to be elite. These are what I have found to be the most important areas to attack when it comes to developing a hitter, when it comes to teaching a hitter, when it comes to becoming their best, right? Number 1 is context. Context of the hitter. Are they a left-handed thrower? Are they a right-handed hitter? Are they a left-handed hitter that's a right-handed thrower, right? All of these different contextual factors are going to change how you approach getting better, right? It may change how somebody's being coached. It may be, okay, well, because you're a right-hand dominant thrower, but you swing left-handed, you may have to increase your grip pressure with the top left hand, right? It may be understanding what the miss is. If the miss is under, you may have to change the feel that you're telling yourself to feel really above the ball, right? If you're very steep, you may have to think much more like golf swing, right? All these different things come into play. Also, the context of the matchup that you're up against, right? Are you training against the machine? Are you facing left on left? So you have to open yourself up and really just eliminate away, right? Are you facing a sinker baller? So you have to really feel yourself over the plate and still feel like you're getting your eyes under the ball and really feeling under the ball, right? Are you facing a guy with vert? So you need to set yourself up with posture above the zone and still feel like you have to see the ball down. All these different contextual factors come into play every single time, right? And if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe, because this is what I care about. I care about developing guys to be their best, but also preparing you, at the standard of can you face and be competent for major league pitching, right? Because that is all I care about. That's what I ultimately found out this information a little too late in my own career, after being a top 100 pick, all these different things, right? There's so much stuff that goes into being elite. I try to keep it simple, and I've dwindled it down to 6 areas, right? The second most important part of hitting is the setup, right? And I'm talking from, is your foot screwed in? Do you have parallel shin angle? Are you stored up in the hip pelvis? Do you have everything set up? Do you also have your posture over the plate? Are you set up to hit from the transverse plane? Do you have posture? Do you have a clean lane to contact? Are the arms at 90-degree angles? Are you in a place where when you get to your landing position, do you have a clean lane to contact where you can work in, middle, away? Are you set up for what the test is requiring? Is your head and eyes behind the barrel? Is the shoulder in line with your, there's so many different things that go into the setup, right? But for me, it does not matter how good your timing and approach is. Again, with the context of I'm trying to set a player up to be ready and competent to succeed in the major leagues, right? If the setup is wrong. Now, I will say this, if you have a perfect swing, but all the other things that I'm about to get into aren't good, it also doesn't matter, right? All of these have basically equal importance, but when we're talking about becoming your best and developing and checking boxes, I do think it matters in these orders, because I'll tell you what, if you don't have the setup right, that's going to lead to you having an inefficient swing, a bad swing path, and what's going to happen as you get into elite college baseball or elite pro baseball or major league baseball, they're going to attack your holes until you die. Whether it's up, whether it's down and in, whether it's shape, whether it's depth, all these different things can come into play. Like, for example, myself, right? I had holes, anything with depth, because I was up and down, right? And I would load across the sagittal plane, across the transverse plane, right? And I would get super stretched out and I was super mobile, so my hips would clear, but I would be stuck up here, and I would have to lag out on the upper half of the barrel, and I would have to square up like this. And then it led to me being very across, with the context of also I had over 80 grade grip strength, equal with Bobby Witt and Ryan O'Hearn and those guys, but it would just, my left hand would just take over. So the fact that I was standing straight up and down, and I was hypermobile, and I was over rotating, what it meant was, if you threw vert, I had you, because I was very athletic and could move well, elite mover. But if you threw me anything that had depth, that wasn't up and out over the plate, I would get here and I would have to work out, around, and across. And now that's why I'm so adamant about having good upper body posture, along with all the other things, which I've already made a video to that. I'll link that at the end of this. But that is so important, right? Because if you don't have the setup right for what you're up against, or you don't have a setup that can basically put you in a position to really be able to backspin the ball the right way and not have top spin hook low on the ground pull side, sliced oppo, you're not going to be there very long. Even if you get there, if you don't have this stuff right, you're not going to be there very long, right? Number 3 would be the swing path. And what I mean is by the time that you get to your launch position, which I consider the launch position right here, where you've landed, both feet are in the ground, your front foot is about to step on, I would call it like this is the gas pedal, this is the brakes. By the time you're about to slam on the brakes, everything's set up and ready to be able to make a move straight to the ball and get here, and also be adjustable, right? Because it's not always where you're looking for it. But if you're in a place, right, and I'll go from the catcher's view for this, but if you're in a place where you have to work around yourself and you don't have a clean swing path, and when I mean a clean swing path, you're in a place where you can get to the ball, and once you get to the ball, be able to stay through and not be in a position because of how you set up that you end up working across. But you're in a place where you can work directly to the ball, boom, get here and continue to stay through the ball for as long as you can, because anybody that's been able to create consistent backspin knows that your work and focus is really on, once you get to contact, how long you can keep your barrel working through the ball, through the ball, through the ball, to create the ball flight that you want, because anything that's not through the ball is taking you off the ball, and that leads to inefficient spin and also leads you susceptible to missing more consistently, right? But we're checking boxes as we become elite hitters that also aren't overcomplicating it, right? The 4th part that goes into being an elite hitter is approach. And what do I mean by approach? This is a general term, but we're talking about your mental approach, but also your approach for what you're up against. As I said, the context of the situation, and then your plan to execute your approach, right? Because the approach may be, oh, I'm just gonna stay left center, right? If I don't have the right approach for what I'm up against, it doesn't matter how good my swing is, right? Because if I'm trying to get my swing off, which is usually your ego involved, if you're so focused on getting your A swing off instead of what the test requires, which means your approach and how you go about that, and if you don't have a process that gets your approach locked in, it doesn't matter how good your swing is, it doesn't matter anything, right? Because you're gonna be out more often than not because you don't have the right plan to execute versus what you're up against. And that is really important when it comes to being elite. Again, the context of this video is not to become an elite 13-year-old hitter or become whatever. I'm talking about succeeding in the big leagues, right? And holding to that standard, because to me, the standard is the standard. The 5th most important part of being an elite hitter is timing. And what do I mean by timing? It means you understand the context of the situation. You've got your setup right for the test that you're up against, right? Your swing path is right. You know, everything's working through the ball. You've got the right plan and approach. Now, how does it all tie together? How does it all meld together? By being on time. And what do I mean by being on time? It means being in a position where by the time that guy gets to release, right, if he's at release, you know, he's here, you're in a place where your swing is working to the ball and you're not still making moves back as ball's out of hand. Because anybody that's faced elite velocity, again, major league pitching, average fastball velocity is probably 95 plus at the time you're watching this video. But if you're still making moves back and you're having to make decisions on whether this is a fastball, slider, cutter, splitter, whatever, you're out, right? And also, you have no adjustability unless you're trying to get square to a fastball out in front, which is why I say pull side backspin is king, right? But if you're not trying to get out here, all the good adjustability happens by trying to get square out in front, right? Because I can't pick up a slider at 90 miles an hour with 2 feet of sweep, or a changeup with, 18 inches of horizontal, whatever it may be, if I'm not seeing it early, right? Because if we're not on time we can always slow down. We can't slow down and then speed back up. It's humanly impossible. Anybody that's faced velocity knows that, right? We have to be being prepared for his best fastball and then work off of that, right? Now, if the context of the situation is different and there's a runner on second, you've got previous history with this guy. Maybe you're sitting spin, or maybe you're sitting to see the pop out of the hand, but you have to commit, right? Which is why approach goes before timing, because that's going to change the timing of what you're doing. And that matters, right? So now that we've covered those 5, the last one is effort level, because all of this stuff doesn't matter if you're out of control. If you're out of control, all the other stuff is a wash, because guess what doesn't play? Grunt swings, max effort swings against elite velocity. You want to hit elite velocity, you want to hit and start to climb your way to the big leagues, which is what I'm trying to do with the players that I coach. You know, I've got some guys in the major leagues, minor leagues, on their way. Some guys are there, some guys are all-stars, all these different things, right? These guys aren't taking max effort swings, right? You start to understand that your A swing is whatever allows you to square up the ball consistently versus what you're up against. And a lot of times, your A swing is going to feel 50%, 60%, and understanding that the competitive juices that you have within you, the adrenaline of the environment, the situation is going to bring you up another 30, 40%. And that's where you really get your extra power. You don't chase power, and you don't match velo with effort. You match velo and you match, elite pitching with being in a place where you're basically trying to create your ideal result with the least amount of effort. And a lot of times it literally feels like you're just like this and you're just flicking the ball off, just right? And then the work's done. Like, it happens so fast. I mean, you have no time. So basically, I say that there's 3 types of hitters. There's guys that anticipate, there's guys that predict, and then there's guys that react. Today's game, it's moving too fast to just see it and hit it. Unless you're one of these guys that has elite bat to ball skills. If you're watching this, maybe you're Luis Arias, but also he's sacrificing a lot of power for that. And, that's a whole nother discussion. There's also your predictors, which are basically just sold out, predetermined. And then you've got your guys that are really good, that have a plan, and they're anticipating the ball being in this spot, and then they're reacting off of what they're looking for, right? And a lot of times that just looks like you picking your approach and plan, which is why all these go in this specific order. And then from there, just waiting for that. Oh, there it is. Yep. And the rest happens. The rest happens. And to me, as I said, this is what I feel like I've gone through the ringer, trying all these different things and simplified down to be true. The 6 most important parts of hitting, right? Just in review. Number 1, context. Number 2, the setup of your swing. Number 3, swing path. Number 4, approach. Number 5, timing. And number 6, effort level, to bring it all together, right? If you want help on all this stuff, reach out to me, fill out an application, send me a message on Instagram, whatever you need to do. But, at the time of this video, I may be working with new clients, I may not be, but would love to help you work on all of this stuff and create a plan for you to unlock your true potential. That's what I do. This is my life's work. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.